Okay, welcome back to episode 3. In the previous episode, we talked about the order terminal and the 3D printer. In this episode, we're going to talk about the mechanical and electronics assembly. So let's look at these boxes. What are they? Well, they're the intermediate step. When the 3D printer outputs 2 of the little m's and 2 of the little e's, these need to be processed by these intermediate machines before they can be recombined by the final assembly. You'll notice that before and after each of these machines is a queue. These queues are where the units are stored as they wait to be processed. You'll notice that the electronics assembly has a queue that's it's exploding, it's way too large, whereas the mechanical assembly uses everything up right as it arrives. Similarly, on the opposite end, you'll notice that the final assembly, it's using up everything that the electronics assembly can produce. But the amount of things that the mechanical assembly produces are just going through the roof. The stockpiles are high. This gives you an idea of where the bottlenecks are. In this case, you can notice that the bottleneck is the electronics assembly. So how would you fix this? Well, you notice that you have for every single one of these machines a process time and a number of stations, and the ability to upgrade them. If you upgrade the process time, you actually speed up the process. And if you upgrade the number of stations, you buy an additional station that operates in parallel. Think about it as buying another sewing machine if you were sewing clothes. So you'll notice that I'm right near $2,500. So I'm about to be able to buy another station for the electronics assembly. Okay, so I just purchased it. Now you'll notice that you have 2 of these are working. Okay, so they're flashing now. This one's flashing. What does that mean? That means that it's being operated on. It's processing. Whereas if this was just still this dark gray that you'll notice when it flashes, that means that nothing's being produced. Notice it this way. If I remove every single input from the mechanical assembly, you'll notice that nothing is being produced anymore. It's just this dark gray. Whereas the electronics assembly has a lot of units in its queue, and so both of these stations are able to operate. So by upgrading both your process time and buying additional stations, you can speed up each step in the production process in order to be able to balance the flows and remove or move the bottlenecks to somewhere else. Okay, so that's all for this episode. In the next episode, we're going to talk about the final assembly and then the finished goods and sales terminal.